Mời quý vị coi livestream hội đàm giữa ngày 47 và Tổng thống Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ Erdogan. Tại cuộc hội đàm, ngày 47 tuyên bố Mỹ sẽ dỡ bỏ các lệnh trừng phạt đối với Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ và sẽ xem xét việc bán chiến đấu cơ F-35 là cho họ, một tín hiệu tích cực mạnh mẽ mà Ankara mong đợi từ lâu. Nghe câu nói này, ông Erdogan vui mừng hết cỡ, nở nụ cười rạng rỡ và thể hiện sự lạc quan cao độ. Hèn chi ông Erdogan dành cho ngày 47 sự quan tâm đặc biệt. Đi đâu cũng ôm vai, nắm tay, dìu dắt tận tình, thể hiện thái độ trân trọng và thân thiết hết mức. Mời quý vị cùng theo dõi ngay bây giờ.
Coming in were brand new and beautiful, and you've been a great leader and a respected leader all over the world, and we really do. We've had right from the beginning good chemistry. We've had a very special relationship. Turkey has become, under the president, a very powerful country militarily. People don't know how powerful, actually. And they have a lot of our equipment, and they have a lot of great soldiers, and they're really somebody to be reckoned with. And the nice part is that because of the relationship that we have, it's all gone very well. I just want to say that I have a lot of respect for the president, and I think it's really to the benefit of both countries. We're going to be talking today about trade. We're going to be talking about other things having to do with the military, lots of different things. Probably we'll mention Iran, where we have essentially decimated their military. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And we're going to have some very good discussions. But we do a lot of trade with Turkey. We make great things and they make great things, and we've had it's had a very big impact on both of our countries. So I just want to tell you that it's an honor to be with you. And we're going to have a lot of good meetings. We're going to have good dinners, good food. We're going to have a good time, but mostly we're going to have a lot of work. And we're going to do good things for our countries. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Sayın Cumhurbaşkanım, tamamına kadar geldiğiniz çok teşekkür ederim. Çok uzun süren bir dostluğumuz var biliyorsunuz. Son derece saygı duyduğum, yakın bir insansınız. Buradaki buluşmalarımızda, görüşmelerimizde 3 konudan bahsedeceğiz. Askeri, ticari ve bir de İran konusundan bahsedeceğiz. Gerçekten çok güçlüsünüz. Çok güçlü askeri silah sanayi açısından çok güçlü bir yersiniz şu anda. Dolayısıyla teşekkür ediyorum ve çok iyi bir vakit geçirdiğinize inanıyorum.
Thank you.
Mr. President, are you going to sell F-35s to Turkey, and what about the legal restrictions?
It's a decision we're going to make. We have a very good relationship. I would think that many people, I can tell you, many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey has been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal. So, yeah, something certainly we would consider. It's a great plane. It's the best, currently the best plane by far. And it's certainly something we will consider, yeah.
Mr. President, sir.
On the S-400.
Yes, Danny?
Mr. President, sir, you said, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, that President Erdogan was a big reason you wanted to come to the summit here. What has made your relationship with him so special, in your own words, and what do you broadly hope to achieve here at the summit?
You never know why a relationship is special. Some people you get along with, and some people you don't. Sometimes you get along with the toughest people, like him, and sometimes you don't get along with the weakest, most pathetic people. You just don't get along. Maybe you don't respect them, but from the day we met, we got along. We had a pastor, I remember his name was Pastor Brunson, and it was a very big thing, and it was very traumatic. He was sentenced to a long-term prison sentence, and I felt he was innocent, and I called, other people called, they got nowhere. I called the president, and he released him immediately. It was something that the evangelical community will never forget. he was a good man, Pastor Brunson. So, just things like that, we just it's always worked out. And I think it's been from the very beginning, from the first moment. This is just, I said it before, it's a chemistry that works between us. There are those that I don't have a good chemistry with, I will tell you that. And we work that out too.
Mr. President, are further troop drawdowns in Europe likely? Are you likely to announce further troop drawdowns in Europe?
Say it?
Are further troop drawdowns in Europe likely? And are you satisfied with the progress that NATO allies have
Well,
made?
we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I would have attended. I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want the help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us. And they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help. We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said that we help them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down. And it's okay. But, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
Türkiye ile Suriye arasında, Türkiye'de...
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanım, bir saniye. Habertürk TV ve Karaca, efendim, İran'daki savaşın sona erdirilmesi için oldukça çaba sarf ettiniz. Müzakere süreci devam ediyor ancak nihai bir anlaşma noktasına gelinmiş değil. Bundan sonraki süreçte Türkiye nasıl adım atacak İran ve ABD arasındaki müzakere sürecinin olumlu bir şekilde neticelenmesi için?
Bu süreçte yine aynı şekilde bizler İran-Amerika ilişkilerini nasıl bir düzleme kavuştururuz? Onun gayreti içerisindeyiz. Elimizden geleni yapmak suretiyle dünya barışına bir adım atalım diye gerek şahsım, gerek arkadaşlarım hep birlikte çalışıyoruz.
Efendim, Türkiye-ABD ilişkilerinin geliştiği bir...
Gazze'ye sormak isterim ben sizlere. 80 bine yakın insan hayatını kaybetti Gazze'de. Çok büyük bir yıkım var. Ateşkes sağlandı ama yer yer ihlaller devam ediyor. Ateşkes ihlallerinin önlenmesi için, insani yardımların Gazze'ye girebilmesi için, ayrıca Gazze'nin yeniden inşa edilebilmesi için önümüzdeki süreçte ortak atabileceğiniz adımları değerlendirecek misiniz muhatabınızla? Müsaade buyururlarsa kendisinin de bu konudaki fikirlerini almak isteriz. Teşekkür ederiz efendim.
Özellikle Gazze konusunda tabii değerli dostumla bunları da konuşarak özellikle bu bölgedeki barışı sağlama için bu liderler zirvesini çok önemsiyoruz. Ve bu liderler zirvesinden aynı şekilde bir kararın çıkmasını da hayra yorumluyoruz. Ve bunun olabileceğine de ben ihtimal veriyorum.
Efendim, Türkiye-ABD ilişkilerinin geliştiği bir dönemi gözlemliyoruz. 2025 yılında geçen yıl Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'ne yaptığımız ziyarette önemli ticari anlaşmalar da imzalandı. Suriye konusunda Türkiye'nin önemli bir aktör olduğunu söylemişti Sayın ABD Başkanı. Şimdi yeni dönemde gelmeden önce de Sayın Trump bir sürprizle geliyorum ifadesini kullandı. F-35'i, Kaan savaş uçaklarının motorlarını konuştuk. Acaba gündeme gelebilir mi şeklinde. Siz bu sürprizin ne olduğunu düşünüyorsunuz? Türkiye Bugünkü görüşmelerden sonra istediğini alabilecek mi? Teşekkür ederim.
Tabii F-35 konusu biliyorsunuz bizim için yeni bir konu değil. Ve bunu bizler Amerika ile daha önce de görüştük. Ve biz 5 uçağı da sözünü aldık. Ve Sayın Trump'ın bu konuda bize ayrıca sözü var. Ve şimdi de bu liderler zirvesinde yapacağımız görüşmelerde F-35 ile ilgili kendilerinden bu daha önce aldığımız sözün ben geleceğe yönelik olumlu şekilde test ettiğimizi biliyorum ve bu konuda da Sayın Trump her zaman sözünün arkasındadır. Burada yine inşallah F-35 konusunda bu liderler zirvesinden hayırlı bir karar çıkacağına inanıyorum.
Mr. President, missile defense system going to be handed over to a third party as part of any deal with F-35s?
What does that mean?
Is it going to be handed over to a third party? Is that not part of the deal?
Third party? What is the third, with respect to what?
There's our concerns about the Russian missile defense system. Do you have those concerns about this system? Are they going to have
No
to?
concerns at all about anything. I mean, he's a leader of a country that he's made a much better country, much more powerful country, and you see it. I mean, it's beautiful. You get off the roads of your life. It's an amazing thing. Now, I have no concerns about anything having to do with Turkey. The relationship, I would say the relationship with Turkey right now is better probably than it's ever been. It was good in my first 4 years, but I think now it's probably even better than that, if that's possible.
Mr. President, so U.S. military and Turkish military constitute a really strong and large military base for NATO. Are we expecting further defense cooperation out of this bilateral meeting, out of this NATO summit here in Ankara?
Well, we're going to find out when I go there. We're going to find out. We're going to be having meetings. I'm very friendly with many of the leaders. Some of them are new. We don't know them. But, I've been doing this for now sort of a long time. If you count the 4 years when we had a rigged election, I was very much into politics then too. But I spent the first 4 years. I spent 4 years in a little different state, and then we've had an amazing, probably the best year maybe ever had by an American president. When you look at the economy, we have the greatest economy we've ever had. We have $19 trillion, $19.2 trillion to be exact, being invested in the United States. That's 7 or 8 times more than it's ever. It's a world record, not just a U.S. record. And I just read where, in fact, coming over, I was in the car with those beautiful horses, those great riders, those great soldiers, and it came over the wires that Toyota is moving out of Mexico into the United States and building one of the biggest truck and car plants ever built. It's amazing. That's what tariffs do, properly used. And so we've never had a more exceptional economy or potential economy. There's never been anything like it. Under the last administration, they did much less than $1 trillion of investment coming in. And we're at 19.2 trillion in actually the first 12 months, because that's where it's, really, so we're there a year and a half, so that number is now substantially higher. But 19.2 trillion, Scott, for a period of 12 months. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. So we have by far the greatest economy. We have more jobs right now in the United States than ever before. And we have a great relationship with some countries on trade, and Turkey happens to be one of them.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanı, siz her fırsatta dünya 5'ten büyüktür, daha adil bir dünya mümkündür diyorsunuz. Bugün konuğunuz Sayın Trump, ABD Başkanı, onun da zaman zaman küresel sistemin mevcut durumuna ilişkin eleştirilerini biliyoruz. NATO'nun 2 en büyük askeri gücü olarak bu noktada, bu eleştiriler doğrultusunda ortak bir adım, ortak bir girişimde bulunması önümüzdeki süreçte söz konusu olabilir mi?
NATO'da iki önemli ülke olarak gerek Amerika gerekse Türkiye, bizler bu liderler zirvesinden de dayanışma içerisinde güçlü bir çıkışı sağlayacağız ve bunu da başaracağımıza inanıyoruz.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanı 24 muhabiri Yağmur Yıldız, Rusya-Ukrayna savaşı konusunda savaşın başından bu yana arabuluculuk tesis ettiğiniz iki ülkenin Dışişleri Bakanlarını Antalya Diplomasi Forumu'nda bir araya getirdiniz. İstanbul'da çok önemli müzakereler yürüttünüz. Bu zirve kapsamında da Sayın Trump'ın Sayın Zelenski ile görüştüğünü biliyoruz. Nihai aşama olarak hangi noktadayız? Savaşın sonlanması konusundaki Trump'la ilişkin değerlendirmeniz nedir? Teşekkürler.
Is that for me? Are you asking me, or are you asking the president?
No, for President, I don't think you. Sayın Başkanı sorun size.
Biz Rusya-Ukrayna arasındaki bu gelişmeleri de yine değerli dostumla burada paylaşacağız, görüşeceğiz ve ona göre de adımlarımızı atacağız.
Efendim, A Haber televizyon kanalından Hatice Kübra Bal, benim sorumda aslında az önce biraz yanıtladınız ama Türkiye'nin 5. nesil uçağı K motorları için F-110 motorlarından söz edeceğiz. Aynı zamanda kasa yaptırımları ve bu bağlamda da F-35 alımı ile ilgili aslında bu görüşmeden bir sonuç bekleyebilir miyiz? Onu merak ediyorum.
Ben bunu daha önce değerli dostumla görüştüm ve Kaan'la ilgili onun motorları noktasında bu liderler zirvesinde bu görüşmeyi değerli dostumla tekrar bir araya geldik. Onu görüşeceğiz ve inanıyorum ki bununla ilgili bize verdiği müjdeyi burada da tekrar edecektir ve bu müjdeyle de herhalde liderler zirvesinde kendisine teşekkür edeceğiz.
I might add that Turkey bought planes. It's the best plane, but they bought planes from the United States. And when you buy a plane from the United States, if there's engine rehab and other things that are done to engines, there's various things that happen, including just maintenance. I think we have an obligation to maintain engines and help them maintain engines. When you buy a plane from us, what are we going to say? You're buying a plane if the engine needs work or if the engine has to be rehabilitated or even upgraded somewhat, but I think we have an obligation to do it. What are you going to do? Say, I'm not going to do that? Look, Turkey's been, I know, a lot of people don't agree, although I think with time they're starting to agree. Turkey has been a great ally for us. Turkey could have gone on the side. They know Iran very well, and they know the problems with Iran. But they've been very instrumental, along with a couple of other countries, of helping. They could have gotten into the fight. And I hear some people saying about their relationship with Israel. They could have gotten into the fight. They're a very powerful military nation. They didn't do that. Maybe they didn't do that because of me, but they could have gotten into the fight on the other side. They are a nation that's been very, very good, and I can speak for myself as president. They've been extraordinary in many ways with respect to our relationship, including trying to end the war with Iran, or whatever you call it. It's not even a war, it's a military operation. It's a denuclearization. That's really what it is, of Iran, because I don't think he wants to see them have a nuclear weapon either. I'm pretty sure of that. In fact, I'm totally sure of that. So, but when they buy a product from us, whether it's a plane or anything else, when it's time for maintenance, I think don't we have an obligation to help them? What are we going to do? Say we're not going to let you use the product that you spent a lot of money in buying? And especially when it's been somebody that frankly has been more helpful to the United States than many other more traditional countries.
Mr. President, you will meet President Zelensky tomorrow, sir. You will meet President Zelensky tomorrow. Should we expect a breakthrough soon? Where are we at Ukraine talks?
I do. I had a very good talk with President Putin, who, by the way, has a lot of respect for President Erdogan, a lot of respect for him. We had a long talk yesterday, it lasted a long time, and I also spoke with President Zelensky right after that. I think they both want to make a deal. It's too bad it took so long, but I think there's going to be, something's going to come out, and the President's also helping us with that, but I think there's something, I settled 8 wars, and I think we're going to be settling, and it doesn't seem likely now, but sometimes with war, I see when it's least likely, that's when it happens. I had a very good talk with President Putin. I had a very good talk with, I would say, as a combination. A lot of times I'd do well with Putin, and Zelensky would be a problem, or vice versa. Zelensky would be great, and Putin would be. They both want to get it settled now. More than that's all I do in my life is deals. I know deals, and I think they are going to. I think we're going to get it settled, hopefully soon. Last month, 35,000, mostly soldiers, died. The month before that, it was 24,000. The month before that, it was 27,000. And the month before that, it was 29,000. But last month, it was 35,000 young soldiers, mostly soldiers, died. And that's crazy.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanım, savunma sanayi işbirliklerinden bahsediyoruz ancak savunma sanayi işbirliğimizi sürdürebilmemiz için Amerika'nın katsayı yaptırımlarını da kaldırmış olması gerekiyor. Sayın Büyükelçi Barak burada, kendisinin bu konuda aslında mesajları da oldu geçtiğimiz aylarda. Sayın Başkanım da bu konuda olumlu düşündüğünü biliyoruz. Hem ticaret hacmi hedefine ulaşmak hem de NATO zirvesinde burada Sayın Trump gelmeden önce de açıkladılar. Aslında Türkiye'nin hattıyla zirveye katıldığını da açıkladılar ama aynı zamanda katsayı yaptırımlarının Türkiye'ye uygulanıyor olmasında bir tezat olduğu düşünülüyor. Bu noktada, bu görüşmede artık somut bir netice alınabilir mi? Ayrıca siz bunu gündeme taşıyacaksınızdır. Muhtemelen Sayın Başkan'ın da bu konudaki düşüncelerini alabilirsem mutlu olurum. Teşekkür ediyorum.
I can tell you, we're going to be taking the sanctions off. Okay? I don't want him to waste his time answering that question because we're working very closely with Marco Rubio, very famous man, great Secretary of State, and with Scott Bassett, and with Pete and everybody else. We're going to be taking the sanctions off. It's time to do that. Okay?
Mr. President, you said that
We don't want to sanction friends. It's very simple. There's plenty of people we can sanction, and we are sanctioned. We don't want to sanction friends. And because of the president, we have a very good relationship with the new leader of Syria, and he's done an amazing job. In a year and a half, he's pulled the whole country together. And I have a very great relationship with him. And somebody said, well, he's pretty rough to put him there. I approved him along with the president. We were the two that really wanted him. And he's done a great job. He's done a great job. He's pulled it together. Not an easy job.
Mr. President,
can you clarify what you meant with your social media post yesterday with respect to Prime Minister Maloney? That true social post with the restraining order?
Oh, I don't know. I think she's a nice person, actually. We had a bad relationship, but it became a little bad because she refused to help us. Again, I didn't put a heavy press on her, but she refused to get involved with the Hormuz Strait, or you could also say just Iran. She refused to get involved. So it soured my relationship with her a little bit. But I like her. I think she's a nice person, actually. But I think she made a mistake. They get a lot of their oil from... We don't get any oil. We have a lot of oil. The United States has more oil than anybody. And when you add Venezuela to it, it's like we have far more oil than anybody. We don't need the straits. We do this because we think it's an important thing to do. But she just wasn't there for us. And I wasn't happy about that. You can imagine, I wasn't happy about that.
Mr. President, you seem to express optimism that a deal between Russia and Ukraine is close. Why do you think that? What conditions have changed? Did Putin seem...
About with what?
Russia-Ukraine. Did Putin seem open to any concessions that he
Never
had?
changed. I just don't want him killing people. It doesn't affect the United States. When Biden was here, he gave them hundreds of billions of dollars worth of equipment. Now I sell the equipment for, fair price, full price. And I sell it not to Ukraine, I sell it to the European Union, they pay us. But with me, it's not anything to do other than I'd like to save lives. You have 25, 35, 30, one time I hit 41,000 a month souls. They're dead. They leave their mother in Ukraine, they leave their mother and father in Russia, Ukraine, they wave goodbye, and a week later they're dead. It's crazy. And I would like to see, it doesn't affect us. It's really, it's far away. It affects Europe much more. We're there to help Europe, but it doesn't affect the United States. We have an ocean in between, but, it's just, I can't stand watching what's happening. I've seen the pictures of those battlefields, and it's a drone war. It's a war of drones. It's a whole new technology. And we're actually the leader in drones now. We have the most sophisticated drones, but people wouldn't believe how violent it is. And I've seen the battlefields. They send me pictures. I actually want to say, don't send them to me. Pete, this man right here sends me pictures. Pete X said. And I said, Pete, you know what? Doesn't help to look. I've never seen anything like it. It's carnage. And it should stop.
Did Pete seem open to any concessions? Did Pete seem open to any concessions to end the war? Did Pete seem open to any concessions to end the war in your call with him?
We get along very well with both, and we're going to get it settled. And President Erdogan is helping us get it settled, as he's helping with arrest. Well, that's what the relationship with NATO. President helping Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States. And it's surrounded by China ships and Russian ships. And that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark. And when they wouldn't go along with it, and with all the money we spend to help them with Russia, and we don't have to spend any money, we could remove all of our soldiers out of Europe. Because as you probably noticed, Europe's a very different place than it was 20 years ago. A lot different, much different. Much different, and they better be careful with immigration and energy. If they're not careful with those two things, you're not going to have a Europe anymore.
Mr. President, sir.
Period of time, I'd say like a year and a half, about a year and a half. And right from the beginning, it was a real mess. It was a very disjointed place, and he's brought it together. He's a strong person. He's a great leader. He's respected by everybody, including me. And we're proud to have him together. We're just here to talk a little bit. We released sanctions from the country, which really, I think, was a big boost. Sanctions was a very important thing. And we're proud of the job he's doing. Syria's become a very stable, it's amazing. In a short period of time, it's really been stabilized. And we're proud of that. And to be part of the Middle East. Syria had one of the great cultures, the professors and lawyers and doctors. It had one of the great cultures of any country, not just Middle East. And then it went through this terrible period of time. But it's a country that a lot of people are very proud of, and they're proud of the job he's done. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Would you like to say something?
في الحقيقة نحن حققنا إنجاز كبير في تحرير سوريا وإسقاط النظام السابق.
We have made a great achievement in the toppling of the former regime.
وكما ذكر فخامة الرئيس خلال سنة ونصف حققنا إنجاز كبير في توحيد البلاد ووضع على السكة الصحيحة من التنمية والاقتصاد.
And as President Trump said, in a year and a half, we made an achievement in bringing the country together, unifying the country and put it back on track.
هذا بفضل الشعب القوي الشعب السوري اللي تكلم عنه فخامة الرئيس ترامب.
Of course, this is due to our strong people, the strong Syrian people that President Trump talked about.
ثم القرار التاريخي اللي قام فيه الرئيس ترامب برفع العقوبات عن سوريا.
Then the historic decision that President Trump has taken by lifting the sanctions of Syria.
وأيضا مساعدة كل الأصدقاء المحبين في المنطقة من تركيا من دول الخليج من كل المنطقة.
As well as the help of friendly countries and the loving countries in the region, Turkey and other countries in our neighborhood.
الشعب السوري يشكر جميعا الرئيس ترامب.
The entire Syrian people thanks President Trump.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rowdy. Do you have any questions?
Mr. President, are you going to remove Syria from the state sponsor of terrorism list?
I think I will, yeah. I think I will. Why wouldn't I? He's done a great job. Maybe he would have brought that up in a little while, but that's a good question. Yeah. Any problems with that? I think we should. Yeah, I will.
Do you still want Syria to help with Hezbollah in Lebanon?
They could help. We'll find out. I think we're making a lot of progress.
Mr. President,
They could help.
Mr. President,
He would do a very good job.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has been critical of aspects of your relationship in the last couple of days with President Erdogan of Turkey. He said that Erdogan has imperial ambitions on neighboring countries, presumably including Syria.
Well, he hasn't been involved with Syria. If you think he hasn't been involved with Israel at all, and he's left it alone. I wouldn't say he's a friend, because he's not a friend of, as you know, of Netanyahu, of Bibi. They don't get along, I think. But, for me, he's been great. Look, Turkey's been fantastic and a fantastic ally. They're also a NATO country. And Israel, we've done, no president's done as much for Israel as I have. Nobody even close. If you look at, just look at all the things with Jerusalem, all the different things that we've done. The Golan Heights, I did things, nobody has ever done anything for Israel like me. And we made tremendous progress. And we've made a lot of progress with Iran too. Wiped out their military, but they should have been done 47 years ago.
And if I could, do you think that that Prime Minister Netanyahu should be reelected? There's an election coming in Israel, or would you like to see new blood?
I can tell you this: he's been a great wartime president. We worked at Prime Minister. So we worked with each other very closely, and we went through a very big thing. We did a big thing together, and in my opinion, he's been a great wartime Prime Minister. I don't know anything about his politics. I'm not sure. I would think he should be popular because he did a very good job. We had and have a very good relationship, but he was a great wartime Prime Minister.
President Trump said,
If you had other prime ministers, you know what? There wouldn't be in Israel right now. You know that? There wouldn't be. It would have been blown to pieces by Iran. If you had a weak prime minister, you wouldn't have. And if you had a different president, I guarantee there wouldn't be. And Israel wouldn't exist today if you didn't have me as president.
President Trump said, new data from the Energy Information Administration revealed that U.S. crude oil production set a new record in the month of April under your leadership.
That's right.
Why is it important to keep hitting numbers like this at this moment in time? Why is it important that you were able to get this done and keep it on this trajectory?
Well, when we decided to do this, it's called the denuclearization of Iran. We have to do it. We have to have. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. And they admit they're never going to have it. But they behave badly, always behave badly. There's something wrong with them. But when we did this, we thought oil would go much higher. And it didn't go very high. And now it's coming way down. And you're going to see oil drop very low. Now, maybe we'll do some other things that could lift it a little bit. But I don't think it's going to lift it a lot at all. I think oil is coming down. There's tremendous amounts of oil. Scott, what would you say about that?
Yes. So record production under President Trump in his first term. Now in his second term, the U.S. is an energy superpower. It's why we weathered the conflict better than anyone else. And there just this weekend, Bloomberg wrote that there is an oil glut out there. And we think that safe, secure American oil maybe even should trade at a premium to the rest of the world.
So we have, if you add it up, you take Saudi Arabia and take Russia, two big oil producers. We do more than twice as much. We do more than, so think of it, Saudi Arabia, Russia put together, we do more oil, and that's not including Venezuela. It's pretty amazing. Right? And this all happened during my term. We started it at first term. Biden blew it because he had no idea what he was doing. But we are producing more oil right now than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined by almost double. Okay, any other questions? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
You said that dealing with the Iranians is a waste of time. How do you plan to get the nuclear material and the nuclear assurances that you want?
Well, we've already got the nuclear material because it's so far underground, nobody's going to be able to get it except us because we have the equipment that can get it. But I call it the nuclear dust. The nuclear material is so far down underneath a mountain, and now that's been determined, that it would take massive machinery that we have that no other country has.
Mr. President, so you have no plans to go in, boots on the ground?
Why would I go in now? I go in when they're completely either eliminated or whatever happened, or an agreement's made.
Mr. President,
yes.
If you cut off trade with Spain, does that mean that you're going to have to renegotiate a trade agreement with the EU?
With who?
With the EU. With the EU. Any past trade agreements you already have?
We're going to see what happens with the EU. They've treated us very badly for years, and they took advantages. Look, we're very close to those countries, right? And to everybody in the EU. The problem is they took advantage of the United States for years. It's like him. They took advantage of Syria. He's bringing it back. And I'm bringing the United States back. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. We have the biggest investment. 19.2 trillion is being invested right now in the United States. 3 trillion was the record. Under Biden and under the past administration, they had less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We have 19.2 trillion in 12 months. Think of that. We have the largest amount of money being invested in a country in history. Pretty amazing. 19.2 trillion with a T. So, and they're building factories all over the country. I think yesterday Toyota announced they're leaving Mexico. And they're coming, I'm not that Mexico's thrilled about it, but they're leaving Mexico and they're coming to the United States to build what will be, I believe, the largest automobile plant either in the world or at least in this country.
Mr. President, on oil prices
Quick
today.
domestic question. You announced on Truth Social a couple days ago that Walmart was cutting the price for beef by 15%. How big of a deal is that for American customers this summer?
So Walmart has agreed to cut their prices very substantially because things are going down. We're getting it down. We inherited very high prices. We inherited the highest prices in the history of our country, or 48 years to be exact, but I don't believe that. I think it's in history. So under Biden, they had tremendous inflation. Under the Democrats, we had tremendous inflation, record-setting inflation. And now, inflation is way down. Everything is great. We have, the prices are coming down, but we inherited, they talk about they use different words to describe it. They had very high prices. The prices are coming down. And when the oil comes, the oil is coming way down. The oil dropped by 50% in the last month. And when that comes down, it brings everything else down. No, it's affordability. And they came up with the word affordability. Like, I take over, I'm there for one day, and they say, affordability. Affordability. I said, I've been here for one. Remember with the eggs, the first day or 2 days later, I have the first news. And they talked about eggs. They said the eggs have gone up 5 times. I've been in office for 1 day. And I said, well, we'll have to do something. In fact, they told me not to order eggs for the Easter egg hunt at the White House. I should use plastic. I said, we're not doing that. And by the time we came, that was a couple of months later, that happened, and we ordered thousands of eggs. And right now, eggs are way down. The prices are way down, and they're coming down further. So they made up a phony word that they used. They said affordability. They're the ones that caused the affordability prices. I didn't. But I brought it down. And the oil is coming down very big.
Mr. President, Brent crude is up slightly today on the announcement
because
that
we hit anytime we hit them, it goes up a little bit, $2.
Is that what you mean? Is that what you meant when you said that we might see oil prices lift a little in response
A little
to?
bit, yeah, $2, very little. It's down from, let's say, $135 down to $69. It's dropping, and everything else drops. As oil goes, so goes everything else. But anytime if we hit Iran, oil goes up a little bit. It's all right.
Mr. President, do you think Israel?
We're de-nuking it. All right. We're de-nuking Iran. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. All right. One more question,
Sir, do you think Israel should withdraw troops from southern Lebanon?
Well, I talked to Bibi about that. Yeah, I think they're going to. I think they want to. I don't think it's a question of me. I think it's a question they want to. And they're getting along with Lebanon. They're signing deals with Lebanon. First time ever. Marco, talk about that if you'd like.
Yeah, we have an agreement and it calls, that's the goal at the end. Obviously, Israel's concerned about their security. But the president did a great job bringing those two countries together for the first time.
It's a big thing. First time in many years, right? So we have a deal with Israel and Lebanon. And, they'll leave. And I think it's going to work out very well. But we're here for this because Syria has turned around as fast as I've ever seen. Well, actually, I turned the United States around very fast, too. I inherited from a man who was not a smart person. We inherited from a man where they were running this country so badly with the open borders. Think of it, 25 million people allowed into our country. And that includes 11,888 murderers, most of whom murdered more than one person, okay? We got most of them out, or we have them in jail. And we've done a great job. Washington, D.C. now is considered one of the safest cities in the country. If he came to Washington, D.C. a year and a half ago, he'd fear for his life, even though he never feared for his life before, because it was very dangerous. But somehow his territory might have even been a little more dangerous. I joke because, he comes from a rough environment. Would you say that's right, Tom Barrett? It's sort of funny to think. I don't think he'd be too concerned with Washington a year and a half. But we had a very, very unsafe Washington, D.C., and now it's one of the safest cities in the country. We put the military in. Washington went from being an unsafe to one of the safest cities, and crime is down 94%. We don't play games. And we removed over 5,000 career criminals, many of whom came in through the open borders of Joe Biden. We did the same thing with Memphis, Tennessee. We did the same thing with in Louisiana. You have to speak to the governor. Because New Orleans, the crime rate is down 78% in a little while. And they had the best Mardi Gras they've ever had. So we're doing a good job. And he's done a great job, too. And I thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Grab your face, Mike.
Thank you, guys. You can head out right there. Thank you, guys.
You got it?
Cảm ơn quý vị đã theo dõi livestream này. Nếu có bất kỳ sai sót hay sự bất tiện nào, xin quý vị vui vẻ bỏ qua. Xin hãy nhớ bấm like, share và subscribe cho kênh YouTube của Trần Michael. Chào tạm biệt quý vị.